my budget was like none.
Nothing.
Back then. And so it was like, okay. So I went out and bought the camera. And Santo, my husband, he videotaped me and we did it in my dining room.
Really? That's so cool.
It was hilarious. And we posted them, and when we first posted it, oh, thank you so much. I just go there, I click on that, and it gives me the basics, and, I don't have to read and go through it. And so, yeah, it makes me feel that. It
should. It should. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and look at them. I've watched a few, but now that I know the backstory.
They're pretty rough, but, when you think about we didn't have anything.
Right.
That's better than nothing. So, but I laugh because I write a lot, and it's one of the things I hate worse than anything. I hate to write. It's not something I enjoy doing. Well, I'm dyslexic. Yep. So writing is very difficult for me. So getting it down on paper is very difficult, but I've got a process that I do, and it seems to work. So Corey hasn't fired me.
Well, I love to write, and I am fairly good at it, but it's time consuming and it's draining. And I found like audio, like transcription is amazing. I can talk my thoughts into my app and then transcribe it, even just using AI, and it's cheap and
I was shocked because when I was at the coalition years and years ago, I was on a plane going all over the nation, training these advocates, and this was after 9/7, and the IEP process, and I said, I do all of these trainings on IEPs and what should be in an IEP and how should a goal be written and what does that entail. And on the plane, longhand, I take my training and I put it down on paper. I take it back, I type it up, I hand it to my secretary, and I said, I need this proof. She proofed it and took it to the executive director, and she said, okay, let's get this printed up. We got to print it up. And we took it to the national, and OSEP was there, and somebody picked it up. So from one of the colleges that was working with OSEP and us. And she goes, who wrote this? Is perfect. This is what families need. They need this. And I'm thinking, damn, God.
Yeah. Well, so dyslexia, how have you been able to overcome that? Or not that you overcome.
You don't. You always have it. You just know that it's there, and you know everything has to be proofed. You can't just send something out. It was interesting when I hired in and I was introduced to Jay, and I said, oh, thank goodness we have an editor. And he said, yeah, but you're a published author. You don't need somebody. I said, oh, sweetheart, you have no idea. So Jay makes me pretty. Jay makes me
Does he? Yeah, good.
Yes.
Well,
Jay makes us all look good, but Jay really makes me look pretty. Trust me. He is, we're all lucky to have him.
Yeah, well, it's all of you guys are lucky to have y'all. That's what I have to say. Yeah,
we click.
It seems like, real collaborative and supportive. I just want to ask, how do your personal life, career, how do you cope? What do you do for fun?
Work. I work.
No, I think we have this idea that we're supposed to just, we have to have fun and we have to do these. Yeah, but I get it. I feel very similarly. You enjoy it.
I enjoy what I do. I am so thankful that Corey asked me to come and be part of this wonderful organization.
Yep.
And my life is so much richer because of the TS Alliance, because of relationships with you, with all of the other families. And, when things get crazy in my life, because I have my great-grandbaby, Rain, we call her Redbird, has cyclic neutropenia, which is every 15 days she doesn't have any white blood cells.
Oh, my goodness.
She has to be completely quarantined. And
you told me a little bit about that, and I forgot what the name of it was.
It's
wow.
neutropenia, and it is rare. It's 1 in a million.
One in a million.
Yeah, she's in a registry.
Uh-huh.
We're thankful for every day we have her. She is an absolute joy. When she's not in her cycle, she's like a typical 10-year-old, 11-year-old now.
So every 15 days she has to have some kind of I assume some kind of transfusion to...
No, she's on Neuropsychiatric, which is a drug to get her to develop white blood cells. So children develop neutropenia when they're they do chemotherapy. Children with cancer.
Yep.
So if somebody who's on chemo is going to take Neuropsychiatric, but it has really bad side effects. It's bone pain, severe headaches. So every 15 days, it takes her about a week. So she misses quite a few days of school. She has a wonderful school system here. My daughter moved here to be close to me so that I can pick up, so that we have, because she could have to be hospitalized at any time when she's,
So that's even, you are prepared in some ways with your experience with the SE.
Yeah, it's like, she's dealing with the medication issues all the time, just like our families are.
Yep.
I can say that probably is my most frustrating part of my job, is when I have families calling me and saying, I don't have medication.
Oh my
I can't get them to approve it. Or my copay is $16,000 this month, and we are not going to be able to afford it. And, we're working really hard to develop relationships with the pharmaceuticals and Accreta. We're trying, but it's always these issues. It's just so frustrating. And I get those calls. I got a call from Accreta at midnight one night. Holidays is usually when there was a hurricane in Florida. I got a call, had to locate the doctor. There's always... because families think that medication's coming, and UPS.
You can't trust anything is what kind of how you have to roll.
No, and we sent that out to the population. You have to be prepared. You make sure that, you have to call them. You have to you
can't assume anything.
No, you can't assume.
And even that, even after you've done all the legwork, you still could have a problem.
Yeah.
Which is just heartbreaking.
And, many of the insurance companies say, well, we won't fill it until you're down to the third dose, the last 3 doses. Well, you know what? Holidays, the doctor might not do
right.
something.
I was on the Cape. I had an issue with Onfi. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And so personally...
it's not enough to deal with TS. You have to deal with the medical component. And I know when I started the educational advocacy component, I thought I felt so bad, because I'm not only telling you as a parent of a child with TS to deal with the medical aspect of it, you have to be a pharmacist, you have to be a doctor. And now I'm telling you have to be an educator and an attorney on top of it, and this community just they pulled up, put their big girl panties on and said, okay, we'll take this on too. And every day this community amazes, and I'm going to cry, amazes me.
I could feel it. Yeah.
I can't imagine living with TF in my life. And we say we need, and you guys are right there. You need that survey filled out. You heard Joanne last night on that call.
Yeah.
25% was.
Oh my goodness, with the child neurology.
Out of that 1,900 individuals, there were over 1,900 surveys. 25% were from our community. How awesome!
It becomes a calling, Dena. You can't. I felt like I had to turn into the community, and because I didn't know how I was going to get through the rest of my life if I didn't make some connections in the community, because it can be so lonely.
But we're so lucky to have you. Doing these podcasts have been wonderful.
Well, it's been for me too. Your life gets messy, and I think that's what I've been. I think with the podcast, what I'm finding is it's really just a sampling. I would love to get a grant and do more podcasts it's a lot of time, but there's just pockets, communities that need it. But I don't know what I'd do without the TS Alliance. So it's all the love right back. I mean, I think a lot of us are just.
And I firmly believe this with all my heart. The TS Alliance is the organization it is because of the community, because of the volunteers. Our staff's not large. So
I know.
Do what we need to do.
It's like the Wizard of Oz or something. Like you think and then
by that it's just a man behind the curtain.
Right. There you guys are, just the few of you. How you guys have mobilized volunteer support, and I don't know, it's like it should be a model for other organizations is what I think.
Well, I talk a lot. I mean, we're part of the international TSCI, and I actually have had organizations in other countries contact me and say, we're looking at doing a volunteer. How do you do it? What do you do? And it's like, we send them with anything we have. You model it, we don't care. If we can do that, we will do that. And other organizations, I presented at other organizations, conferences, and talked with their coordinators and their vice presidents and whoever the head of support services to try and help in any way. We're all out here for a reason. I believe that we're led. I laugh because when I left the coalition to go back to Ohio, I had no idea what job I was going to get. I just knew I had to be home for my mom.
Right. You have those things that happen that you just got to go with.
Yeah. Yep. And I interviewed for this job, and I get this job, and I really didn't even know what it was. I mean, that's other than, my friend said, we need a CEO of this small nonprofit. And we they had hired their CEO, and they were like in a pickle. And we need somebody who is knowledgeable about Part C. And I go, I can do that. I know Part C. That's not a problem. I can do Part C. And then I get in there and I realize, oh my gosh, I could have to actually implement IDEA, which was crazy. It was hilarious. But
right, you're breaking through your fourth wall, like, oh, I said all this, but how is this going to work?
Yeah, I'm thinking, okay. But, I have always went with the knowledge that we're led.
Yes,
that we're
I agree.
chosen. And, I remember my son, God love him, he is the joy of my life. He is the joy of my life. He said to me, you owe me. Because of me, you have your career. And I laughed at him and I said, you are so right, sweet pea. You are so right. And he reminds me of that all the time. Hey, you wouldn't have your job if it wasn't for me, Mom.
That's so funny. Well, it is funny, those things that seem so tragic that really end up being those turning points where you're like, that was all happened.
And and I just remember when he went from middle school to high school and he wasn't reading. I mean, he's in middle school and he's reading a first grade 7th month, and I'm traveling all over the country, and I'm in an airport one day and he just break down. And
I hear you.
If he can't read, he's not going to be able to fly. He's not going to be able to drive. He's not, I have this.
Well, that was my son's biggest. He couldn't get past his TAND to learn to read. Now he has cracked the code, not graduating, but he, because he can read now, and I feel like he's going to blossom. Even though he's late, it'll happen for him.
Yeah. And of course back then they just had to show progress. So they felt that from kindergarten to 8th grade, first grade, 7th month was progress.
Oh yeah. When I look back at that stuff, I'm furious.
Furious.
Yeah.
And I paid for tutoring. He had tutoring every night, 6 days a week.
Wow.
And I remember his tutor, Tracy, was wonderful. I walked in and he said, I want you to hear something. And he hit his tape recorder and he had recorded John reading. And it was so exciting. Or the first time we're in a Chinese restaurant, get this, he opens a fortune cookie and he reads the fortune.
Oh, and I'm going to tear up a little.
I blubbered. I just started crying. And he's like, oh my, he's a freshman in high school. And he's like, oh my God, Mom, you're so embarrassing me. Don't do that. And I'm like, well,
I think as a mother, you play that whole life out like, oh my God, and I think there's still these little pieces like of heartbreak, but that's not his journey. That's my perception. Of, he's going to be okay. I can't put my feelings of whatever was missed or